Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, I bought you 2 of the fusion epics from the test server already. We're going in for number 3. And who are we going to go for this time? It's going to be the lizards, Skathix. Obviously, he's bringing us a nice old bucket of fish to help us along our way. Sometimes you get hungry. If you're smacking stuff too hard, you want to drop a fish for your fellow friends. So, Skathix, what's he all about? I'm assuming it's a he. I don't know. It's nipples are covered. What are we saying, guys? I think it's a he. So what's going on then? We have got a decreased speed on an A1. I'm liking this more and more for an A1 ability. Decreased speed. Most bosses, you get value from this decreased speed. Doesn't work on dragons. Doesn't work on a clan boss. But Ice Golem, Fire Knight, most of the Doom Tower bosses all get this kind of benefit from a decreased speed. And actually it becomes, as you progress more towards stage 17 plus towards 25 or the higher levels of Doom Tower, decreased speed becomes an insanely powerful buff. So really like this, 50% chance to land if you book it. I feel like you kind of want to book this out. For me, I feel like this is a bookable ability. The A2, damage is based on attack, and it doesn't hit that hard. So we tested it out. I've also looked at multipliers. Comes in that kind of average bracket. So I wouldn't build Skathix for damage, purely for utility. So if you book out, again, I would book this. I kind of feel like without the books, it's okay. With the books, it's great. So 100% chance booked of stealing random buffs. 1 random buff from each enemy. Now, the thing which I don't love, this is a void epic. Okay? Forget that we're doing a fusion right now. Think about this for 2 weeks' time when the new player comes in and they've got a chance to pull a void epic. If you compare this ability to like a Madame ability or a Seer or, some of those other top tier void epics, it's nowhere near. It's nowhere near. It's good, but it's nowhere near. I'm not removing all of their buffs. It's RNG which buff I steal. At least we're void, so we're definitely going to get something if we've got enough accuracy. But, just bear in mind that this is not as strong as we see from some of the other void epics, in my opinion. It's still not bad. If you're doing a strat against someone like Agref where you're going to nuke those spiderlings, then stealing their counterattack first and then smashing them into the ground is not a bad move. So, this is okay. But more often than not, if you're up against a team of people that do buffs, they're doing 2 or 3 buffs at the same time. Yeah, you've got your Duchess, you've got your Sifi, you've got your Morsian Mage. Most of them do 2 or 3 buffs. Even people like Valk and, Martyr and stuff, they're putting a couple of buffs out at the same time. So if you're trying to get through waves in Faction Wars, this isn't necessarily going to do it. It will help you do it. So not a bad ability, but for Void Epic, I feel it's not quite as strong as I'd like it to be. And then this one, so I tried to book Skathix to just book the A3. Okay? I ended up having to book all the skills because it didn't land where I wanted it to land. But basically, this ability is the crown jewels. This is the make or break of this champion. And I feel like if you're not booking this ability, you're losing a load of the value. So what's it doing? Full cleanse, full debuff removal from your team, then puts block debuffs out and a shield for 2 turns. This is a great ability. Okay? You're cleansing your team off. You're then saying, no more debuffs, thank you very much. And by the way, I'm going to protect you with 20% of this champion's max HP. So you're controlling how big that shield is just from this champion. I like that. If it's this champion's HP, I'm controlling it. Okay? This is a good ability here. Good cleanse. The only thing is, like, for one of the main places I want to cleanse is Agref. And if you're not trying to do the strat where you nuke spiderlings, then this AoE can set them off, can set them running, and you probably don't want to steal the buffs if you're not going to kill them. So, depends. This ability, amazing for Agref. This ability, situationally good or bad, depending on how you're going to use your Skathix. So, just bear it in mind. Places block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn as a passive whenever their HP drops below 30%. Love that. It's cool. It's on a 6-turn cooldown, so chances are it's going to happen once. You might find Skathix finds his his way into Doom Tower Waves, because this is the most annoying ability when you're faced against it and you're putting turn meter control champions in your team. It's exactly what we've got with like a Basilisk right now. You might see Skathix popping up in arena defense teams, because certainly for high level play, because of this unkillable, just as like a super slow kill me when you can sort of thing, as a bit of a niche. Also got a resistance aura. So all in all, a good champion. For Void Epic, I feel like a little bit lacking for me, but it's not a bad champion. Certainly I like this A3. So because Skathix is not doing any damage, masteries wise, I don't have any masteries on him right now. If I was to put masteries on, which you certainly can, you're thinking to yourself, what do I want to do with Skathix? So do I want to be landing this ability? Do I want to be concentrating on my HP and support play? Do I want to get some damage out if I'm running in for something like Faction Wars and get War Master? But honestly, I think it's one of those champions where you can get away without masteries. But if you put masteries on, a bit like I did with the Hippo the other day, I would probably end up going War Master. So I would probably do something like this. Just like what I would class as a standard clan boss build, really. Straight down to the left into War Master. I would take the accuracy to land the A2. I would probably take Laura's Steel for extra stats. I would take Evil Eye because we're pushing accuracy anyway. We might as well get the turn meter drop on boss fights. We've got quite a few buffs that we put out, so I would probably take the turn meter boost from buffs and maybe enhancing our shields here, an extra 5% shields. You could even come down this side, to be fair, and push more shieldage through the left-hand side of the tree and end up in lasting gifts to give you a chance to extend the shields for longer. But there's a number of things you could do, but masteries on this champion are not going to be the be-all and end-all. They're not going to make the major difference. So what have I done with a build then? In fact, I've gone defense here when I should have gone HP. I've just seen that because of the shields. So we're going to switch that into HP. Just looking for a bit of HP, and ideally you just want HP, speed, and accuracy in the build. That's kind of all I'm looking for. HP, speed, some defense, some accuracy. You want to rotate abilities as quick as you can. So you want the good speed levels. You want the HP for that shield, so that we're going to put a higher value shield out. So a high HP build is good. You want the accuracy to land, the chance to steal those buffs. And then, yeah, obviously, let's just switch this into a speed set, speed boots. Probably with some HP as a substat. I don't care about damage stats, so that's not going to help me in this build. All we're looking for is bigger shields, stay alive, rotate abilities quick, good accuracy to land the kit. That's it. So you're going to be going accuracy on the banner, defense or HP in your jewelry items. And then where's he going to play? So honestly, he can just come in. One of the best places he's going to play is obviously Faction Wars. Looks like it's all shut off on the test server now, which is a shame. But Faction Wars against bosses, he's going to help you. Lizardmen struggle with support champions. So if you consider other Lizardmen that you've got available, and we do have I think we have a secret room that might be Lizardmen, not sure. Yeah, it is, yeah. He's going to help you just kind of keep the team running, keep the team alive, block the debuffs. But there's not a lot in the Lizardman crew. So Aox is awesome. He's going to be one of the better ones now. Basilisk is kind of your damage dealer. Maybe you've got a bit of a revive champion in Broadmoor. There's not a lot in the rares. Haruspex is okay. Most of the other ones are pretty bad. So chances are you will need him for your Faction War team if you're not going to build Hurndig, the legendary. So let's get him into some dungeon content. I see him being played mostly in places like Ice Golem, potentially in Spiders if you want to cleanse off those poisons and then protect your tank. Maybe in Finite, again, for the same reason, really. So decreased speed here is actually pretty valuable. Let's just drop a team together. Okay, we're going to do something like this. So Grush, free champion. Syl, free champion. Drop defense champion in my stag. We've then got Phoenix for some damage and Skathix in there for block debuffs, cleanse, and particularly strong against the stages where you want to take buffs away. So this is going to be, I mean, we don't have any real damage here, so it could be long. Phoenix does hit pretty hard. But honestly, the Fishman... Oh, what's that animation there? Maybe he gave him a fish. I didn't really see what was going on. Let me try and slow that down. What's he doing? He's like... he's coming in, front flip, kicking him or something. It's just like, dude, chill. We get the block debuffs out. We get the shields out. So he's doing that even if we don't have debuffs on us. Which is actually kind of nice because block debuffs is one of the stronger buffs in the game. So, you know, just gives you that protection. He's coming in there, doing a front flip on the dude. Let's get this on towards the boss and see how we do there. Honestly, I probably should have selected stage 20 instead of 25 because 25 is just long. But what we are doing, so you can see here, I'm still in the first part. I just thought I'd show you. We're taking no damage. The shield, the block debuffs, him front flipping that decreased speed on there here and there is actually working out really nice for us. Also, what we should find, hopefully, if we activate a Seeker, increased defense, here it is. Hopefully, we're going to try and steal those defense buffs away. Let's see if he gets his A2 out. No, done A3 first. Still going to come around to it. Should be his A2 coming up now, hopefully. We should. No. Where's your A2, fella? You not got an A2 going on? Why are we not doing A2s? There it is. So we stole... I think we got a resist over here. But we stole the defense buffs away. If you're on stage 20 and they throw out that Shriek, we can steal the Shriek reflect damage away. So it's going to protect the rest of your team. So for those type of waves of annoying champions where there's just one buff that gets played out, then actually pretty damn solid. But you can see here, I mean, even though we're up against it in terms of like our damage potential, we're not really in any sort of trouble with this sort of team. You know, we've got Syl giving us some stuns. We've got Drush throwing out some healing. Skathix is then following that up with a shield and block debuffs. And when debuffs are not landing on you, it's much harder for you to die. So again, we'll play this through to the boss. See if we can beat 25 with this team. It might be too hard. I'm not sure. Okay, so we make it onto the boss part of the fight. Pretty comfortably, really. This team is just kind of like casually meandering through the fight. Stage 25s, they're long unless you've got specific champions, right? But it's an interesting thing to showcase because actually this is reality for most people. We don't all have a Seer, we don't all have a Xavier to burn our way through the waves. So you need this kind of like constant support play. He does a good job of this, actually. He does a good job alongside, you know, the Drush and the Syl here to just keep us nice and healthy. And obviously, when you've got the Ice Golem ignoring your defense, having a shield up from Skathix here is actually pretty good. So we just need a Phoenix to block revive. Didn't do it. So he's coming back. Great. And honestly, at this point, all you're looking for is that front flip, decreased speed on the boss. That's all. That's the only other thing he's going to give you. I do feel like because of his kit his passive, sorry, where he becomes unkillable. For a Void Epic, I feel like he should have some sort of revive in his kit or something like that. But you can see we kind of get to this point, hoping for a front flip, decreased speed. There it is. There's no buffs to steal here. And then other than that, he's just going to be putting out shields and blocking debuffs. The block debuffs against this boss is actually kind of big because that freeze that he can hit you with, the ads can hit you with, provokes, I think, and no, not provokes, maybe drop defense and heal reduction. So there's a few bits that he can support you on. Here it is. But it's a slow and steady, super slow, super steady team. But it feels like this team just is going to win. So I'm going to let it play through to the end, and then I'll show you something else. Well, guys, a mere 16 minutes in, we're about to beat stage 25 with a rabble pulled together. So what did he do here? I mean, 2.7 million damage is actually not bad considering we've not really got any damage gear on. Same damage as Phoenix. I guess these are 3 weak affinity to stage 25, which doesn't help us. But in terms of keeping the team pumped and alive, actually done a decent job. Also, stopping us getting those nasty debuffs, done a decent job. You would be able to use him in somewhere like the Magic Keep to steal the shields away, Force Keep to steal away the increased defense buff and stuff like that. So there is some extra utility for keeps for sure. I think one of the areas where he will actually get some proper playtime could be here. So stage 20 of the Spider. So you could run a team like this where you've got Skathix in as the lead, so giving us as a resistance aura, another 40 resistance, so we don't take as many pops of that of the poisons. If we do, he's going to cleanse it off anyway. We're going to get block debuffs out quite nice as well. We've then got potential revive champion if we need it. Heals as she goes, heals and speed, drop turn meter. So you've got a kind of nice team mechanic, and actually he fits this team really well. So this if you don't have someone like a miscreated monster who's going to throw out nice big shields for you. Actually, he's just going to give you another option of a shield. So obviously, Drex is going to be the target for the Spiderlings because he's the wrong affinity. And then we're hoping for Burns when he takes a hit. There's one. See this? That's what you're hoping for. And then either Skathix can do his front flip, decrease speed, or Seal can be in there for the decreased speed. And obviously, we're just dropping turn meter with A1s, dropping turn meter with Armiger. And we're all about rotating back to the point where the HP burn ticks again. So ticks for the second time. See this block debuff? It's really nice, actually. This gives us a good chance of tanking it up for a decent amount of time. And with that aura as well, you've got additional chance. And I feel like he's super good for this, actually. 2 big buffs that you want. We're not going to steal any buffs from these guys. In fact, with the AI change now, you probably would just turn the A2 off because you don't really want that AoE damage there. That AoE damage is actually hurting our effectiveness of the burns. You don't want to do extra AoE damage. But I mean, it's not going to be the quickest run in the world, but I think this will just straight up win over time. Obviously, if you've got your Cold Hearts and, all of those other champions that make this easier, you would be throwing them in. But just feels like this would win. So I'm going to play it through, see if we get to the end, and then we'll see what else we can do. I mean, we've come in, stage 20, 5 minutes, whatever. But the team's worked. So, it's a relatively free-to-play friendly setup. Skathix is actually doing a ton of work there in terms of, again, healing and shielding. There's not too much more to show you in terms of what he's going to be doing in those sort of setups, because it's the same thing no matter where you take him. If you're taking him in Doom Tower, you could take him right through to higher levels of Doom Tower. He's doing the same thing. Protecting the team, blocking those debuffs coming at you, trying to steal buffs away from enemies that are throwing buffs out. So you certainly could use him if you were coming up against, Valk waves or Martyr waves. I actually don't know where they are in this, but anyone who's going to be throwing out strong buffs, he can take some away. And wherever you're taking a decent amount of damage and debuffs yourself, he's going to be able to cleanse some of those off and renew. I will show you Agref in terms of the strategy I was talking about, because I think this is, a lot of people said to me, no, don't ever use an AoE champion against the Spider. Well, depends how you're playing it, really. It depends what you want to do with it. But I'm thinking that, some people that are just trying to get past it for the first time, perhaps not an auto comp, but someone that just wants to try and get past it, then potentially you do want to remove those counterattacks and just smack these Spiderlings into the floor. Who do I want here? Let's do... And another Seal. Another Seal setup like this. So you either run the resistance, I would say in this type of comp, if you're trying to do this, you actually run for damage. And, you know, this is where we get to the point where it's like, turn auto off. Turn your auto off sometimes. Just do it. Imagine a world where auto wasn't the only thing you could do. If you're struggling to get through content, normally it's because all you're doing is pressing auto the whole time. And so just make sure you get through to your main abilities when you get to the boss. So you're on manual here, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to save some of my abilities because I might need them again. So we need to cycle back to having his decreased attack and defense. I do want to get back to Trunder's nuke as well, so I'm just going to A1 a bit here. A1 is your friend. A1 can be your friend, guys. Now, there is a kind of a thing here around, do I want to first cleanse with someone like a Skathix? Let's just get some AoE damage going, so we do kill these people at some point. Do I want to cleanse the first wave of nastiness, which is definitely a good option? See here, I'm just stunning these up. Or do I want to go in and straight away steal their counterattacks? That's one thing that you're going to be faced with. I would imagine the cleanse is the better option because you do take a lot of damage from those poisons from the first wave of damage. But here we go. So we've got it on manual. We're about to take a butt ton of damage from all these poisons. So what we're going to do, I'm going to speed myself up. And I've got a choice. I either cleanse everybody here or I rip those counterattacks off. So if I rip the counterattacks off first, pop. So he does get his protect up. So yeah, ripping the counterattack off does put this kind of ally protect up. But because we're going to slam dunk all of these spiderlings anyway, it just gets removed. See that? It's just popped off. Spiderlings are dead. They're not protecting anything. And at that stage, you're then just all about trying to do as much damage before he spawns those spiderlings again. So at this point now, I will cleanse. And we've got block debuffs out. It doesn't protect us from the spiderling's poison, so the block debuffs is no good. But the shields and the shields and the cleanse is actually really nice. So we're now in a position of strength where we've got no spiderlings to deal with, no counter-attacking coming at us. We can do any of the abilities we want. And I think it's not a terrible tactic to take the spiderlings totally out of the fight. Yeah, also if we were looking at something like Scarab Boss, I mean, that shield ability is going to be nice. It won't be the kind of main ability that's going to get you through a Scarab Boss fight. So if you consider what you need with a Scarab Boss, you need to shield up all the time. And this is on a 4-turn cooldown. It goes on for 2 turns. Means you need a second person doing shields to keep this going. But all in all, I'd say a solid addition for Doom Tower. Pretty solid anywhere in the game. But I don't think he's a game breaker. I don't think he's going to be like the Void Epic you really want to pull. So for me, out of the Fusion Epics, he's third out of the fourth in terms of ones that I would want. And honestly, for most people that have got an account that's kind of a bit more well developed, I don't think you get a ton of use from him. So I'm quite happy to throw him into the Fusion personally. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Where would you use him outside of what I've shown here? I've been Hell Hades. I will see you later.